All right, what's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Sorry for the long wait for this review of this fight. It's been a busy week, with the holidays and everything, and working at the same time. So I did finally watch the full fight, and I thought it was a pretty good fight. To be honest with you, I thought Frampton was going to win. I know I didn't do a prediction video. I didn't really feel comfortable doing a prediction video because I've only seen Josh Warrington fight once, and that was in the Lee Selby fight. Okay, so I didn't want to do a breakdown of the fight without knowing enough on Josh Warrington. But from what I saw going into this fight, I thought Carl Frampton and his experience would get him by in this fight. I know Josh is very, very high volume fighter, very aggressive, but I thought Carl was going to time him and be able to outpoint him, and land some harder shots. And we really didn't see that in this fight. It was pretty looking like, especially after the first half of the fight, Warrington dominated, I think I only gave Carl one round in the first half of the fight. And I pretty much agreed with the judges. I'd scored it 116, 112. But Warrington did his thing. I mean, Warrington did extremely well. I mean, out of all of the people that gave Carl some tough fights, between Kiko Martinez, Scott Quigg, Leo Santa Cruz giving him his first loss. And there was a couple other fights in there that were difficult for him that I've seen too. Can't remember all of them. But I think out of all of the people that have gave Carl Frampton a tough fight, I think Josh Warrington did the best. Okay, by far. All right. It was reminding me like... at some points, it reminded me of when Lomachenko was fighting Nicholas Walters and would have him unbalanced and just ambushing Walters in that fight. Just, throwing all these combinations and stepping around him and leaving him off balance. That's how Carl Frampton looked, especially in the first half of this fight. He was just way too overwhelmed, And I'm actually shocked because Carl has good legs. It's just that he didn't really use them, He didn't know how to create space. I think Carl just, at one point in the fourth round, it looked like Carl kind of figured it out, but then it went right back. Josh went right back into it. And that's why you got to give these fighters credit that come in with a game plan. And it's not always about experience and talent. Sometimes it's about the way you fight your opponent, specifically in that fight. I don't know if Josh Warrington's plan here is going to work with a Gary Russell or Oscar Valdez or Leo Santa Cruz. I think he has a good chance of beating... Not too sure about Leo, but I think he has a good, solid chance of beating Oscar Valdez and Gary Russell Jr. Especially Oscar Valdez, with the way he's been fighting lately. He's been fighting more like a straight-up brawler, okay? But I liked what Josh Warrington was doing on the outside as well as the inside. Definitely the inside, but on the outside, just a lot of lateral movement, a lot of feints, a lot of in and out. Just a lot of random stuff going on where it made it very difficult for Carl to time him, and catch him while he was stepping in. I can tell that's what Carl was trying to do, but Warrington was just too much changing directions, It was just too much going on, and Carl just couldn't time him right. He just couldn't do it. And Carl at 126 is just, he doesn't have the explosive power that he had at 122. All these guys all these guys were fighting at 122. Him, Leo Santa Cruz, all these guys moved up, didn't fight Rigondeaux back then. And I just don't think Carl has that same kind of power that he had down at 122. So even though he caught him at times, it just didn't have that same effect, and he hasn't had that big effect of power at 126. But Warrington did a great job on the inside, just throwing those combinations, stepping around him, throwing more combinations. You can tell Josh wasn't really loading up like that in all of those shots. There's no way he would have been able to throw that amount of punches while loading up, you know. And that's probably the reason why his knockout ratio is so low, is because he's just not loading up. You know, he's trying to win on points and overwhelm his opponents. You know, just like in the Lee Selby fight. So I liked what I saw from the outside and inside. I think he outboxed Carl. I think he was the aggressor, the ring general. Carl was just never really, I think maybe at one point he might have won 2 rounds in a row. But outside of that, Carl was he just didn't have it. He just didn't have it. And even mentally, I think he was just frustrated. I think going into the second half, or the last quarter of the fight, I think he was already mentally defeated, you know. So I thought it was, it was a good fight, good showing for Josh. Like I said, I think he has a good chance. And all those other fights, if he decides to unify, all those other fights are good. It'd be great fights. I mean, the fights at 126 are usually great. You know, you got a lot of big names. It's a flooded division. And just stylistically, Josh matches up well against Valdez, Russell, and Leo Santa Cruz, whoever he decides to fight when he is ready to unify. I know Russell doesn't usually fight more than once a year, and I think he's due for a fight. Last time he fought Joseph Diaz and didn't look all that impressive in it. So, anyway, I'm going to cut this short because there's a helicopter flying around in front of my building, and I'm kind of curious of what's going on. I don't want the noise to interrupt my video. Let me know what you guys think. And as far as Carl, listen, Carl is still, he's not an old guy. He's still fresh. It's just this guy was too much for him, and I'm sure at some point he'll get another title shot. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and catch you later. Peace.